I'm Mike Graese, the City Manager for the great city of Ashland, Kentucky. Today's Canopy143 topic is trust. There's a lot of definitions of trust, and we each have our own definition of trust. But to me, trust at the personal level is all about commitments and promises that you make. If you make promises and commitments, you should follow up on those promises and commitments. And it's also an expectation that the people you have relationships with will do the same. That's why you might have heard the cliche before, trust is a two-way street. You give trust and you get trust. And they're not always reciprocal. But I found throughout my life that I immediately give trust and confidence to people I meet in practically any situation. And some people have said to me that they may not think that that's a great idea. But I've done that throughout my life. I've got lifelong relationships with people that were built on trust from the very beginning. And so those relationships and that trust is some of the richest part of my life. How do you start a relationship like that? It briefs well, it sounds good, but to me it goes back to another cliche, and that is mean what you say and say what you mean. If you say what's truly in your heart when you talk to somebody and you feel that way and you're going to follow up on that, then losing trust is a much harder thing to do. If you're making up stories and saying that you're going to do things that you don't intend to do, you're going to lose that trust really quick. So, like I said, put your trust in others, find those people that you can trust, and you'll find it, I found it to be very rewarding. There is a downside to trust and trusting people immediately and implicitly. And the downside of that is that you're going to get burned every once in a while. That's happened to me before. I've never had a situation of lost trust that I wasn't able to recover from, either personally or professionally. And quite frankly, people that intentionally betray your trust, they're found out usually, and they're usually held accountable for it. So that's not something that I lose a lot of sleep over. I find that giving my trust to people and getting trust back from them is very rewarding in that regard. Just a couple other thoughts about trust, and that is that at some point you're going to find that you've lost trust in somebody, and my advice to you is don't overreact to it. Don't act emotionally and lash out, because that really doesn't help the situation. You need to express to that person why you've lost trust in them and give them a chance to explain themselves if they will. You also have to think about that at some point you might be on the opposite end of that coin, or on the opposite side of that coin, and that is that somebody will lose trust in you. When you find that out, you need to own it. If it's yours, hopefully it wasn't an intentional misplacement of trust that you're responsible for. But even if it was unintentional, it's important to go to your friend and with humility and ask for forgiveness. And that's probably the quickest way to fix that situation and try to earn that person's trust back. So I've got a final question for you, and that is, if somebody else talked about you, if you're your parents or your friends, what would they say about you? Would they say that you're a trustworthy person? If the answer is yes, then continue to do those things that are making you trustworthy. If the answer is no, then you need to find out what you need to do to fix that situation. How you can better yourselves to improve that trust that people have with you. There's one final thing I want to share with you, and it's a quote from Ernest Hemingway, who said, "The best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to trust them." And that sounds pretty simple, but I say it's really worth the risk. Like I said, I had a lot of lifelong relationships, and those are all based in the fundamentals of trust. So anyway, go out and trust somebody today. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks to Canopy143. I really appreciate what you all are doing, and have an awesome day.